Hi, everybody. It's Patty. I wanted to share the presentation I was going to make to you this afternoon for our week 2 of our mentoring circle for Anita B. So I'm going to share the presentation. I will email this to all of you, and then we will be able to talk about it as we go forward, because we're going to go through all 5 of the ways that I found through my research of what makes a strong, great, amazing, talented woman leader. And so I will share the PDF with you. I will send you some additional information, and hopefully we can get back on track next week, because these mentoring circles is really all about you, your development, helping you become the kind of woman leader that I know you want to be. So this one is going to be based on my book, and my book in terms of what's called Quiet Women Never Change History, Be Strong, Stand Up, Stand Out. Let's go kick some glass. It is on Amazon, and I've reduced the price quite a bit. And I spent 3 years interviewing over 3,259 women and men leaders about what makes a great woman leader. And I found these 5 things that we're going to cover for about the first 20 to 30 minutes of our time together each week. And then we can get into other mentoring topics that are of interest to you. So one of the assignments I gave you for this week was to think about, who do you admire and why? And who is the most influential person in your life, and how did they influence you? And I did this for a number of reasons, because there are a lot of great leaders out there that you may admire. And absolutely, you should admire them and take a look at the behaviors and characteristics and things they do that you want to replicate in yourself and in your style. Because the first principle of the 5 women leaders is be strong and play to your strengths. So you want to play to your strengths, not someone else's. And those people that influence you, whether they were a teacher, a member of your church, it was part of school, it was a boss you worked for, it was a mentor you had, they influence you because they're a great leader. And our role as women leaders is to pay that forward and mentor other women to be strong and confident, to be able to move forward. Why is this doing this? I'm having trouble getting my slide to move. There we go. So here are the 5 things I found in my research. Like I said, I spent 3 years. I interviewed 3,259 people about what makes great women leaders. And these 5 things consistently popped up. Number 1, be strong and play to your strengths, which we'll talk about today. Number 2, in order to stand up, they created a personal leadership vision they can stand on. And that's what we'll do next week, is we'll help you create a leadership vision that you can use to make career and life decisions. The third one was that they were able to stand out by becoming more valuable, visible, and vocal. They became valuable by becoming a master of their craft, whether they were a project manager in accounting and finance, whether they were a coder, whether they were a data scientist, whatever their role was, is they became a master of that craft by taking the trainings and certifications and taking the jobs experiences they need to have that. And they were more visible and vocal, because you have to be seen. In order to be promoted, you have to be seen and be visible, valuable, and vocal. And you need to be able to stand up and ask questions or volunteer for different assignments, so you become more visible within the organization. Number 4 was put yourself number 1 on your things to do list. And the last one is pay it forward and leave the world a better place for women today, tomorrow, and forever. So those are the 5 principles. And we're going to dive into the first one this week. We're going to dive into the principle of being strong. It's all about being the best you, because everyone else is taken. If you try and replicate exactly what somebody else does, it probably will not stick. It may not be seen as genuine, and you won't be seen as an authentic leader, which is the most important thing about being true to yourselves and your strengths. It's about leveraging your IQ and knowing yourself and knowing others, and have the ability to communicate, to collaborate, to work with people that are very different from you. And it's about being future focused and about outlining to your vision, which we will start to create next week. So emotional intelligence is one of the keys. So not only in my research, but in the Stanford research that was done a couple of years ago, they found that emotional intelligence, just like Daniel Goleman, who founded emotional intelligence, did, that people that were more successful in life had high EQ and an okay or good IQ. Having a high IQ with no EQ was not the key to success. In fact, that was probably the kiss of death. But having that high EQ, and as a woman, when you combine having high EQ with empathy and understanding and being strong, those are the women that research show advance faster. They move up that career ladder of success. They get noticed. And so just to help you understand emotional intelligence, if you're not aware of it, is that it can be broken down into my self-perception and my social or outside perception or outside how I do things. It's both recognizing in the first purple box in the upper left, self-awareness, which is what we'll do with the DISC profile in just a minute, self-knowledge, emotional wellness, emotional self-assessment, and self-confidence. You put those things together and that is your self-worth. Believe it or not, competence is not as important as confidence in today's world. So we're going to work on that too as we work together. On the other side, under social, it's about having that social awareness. Through DISC and other things like this, you can look at, well, how does somebody else think and operate? How do they prefer to make decisions? How do they prefer to communicate and integrate? And you've got to have the empathy, the organizational awareness, and the service orientation. So once you recognize yourself and others, then you need to be able to also, in terms of emotional intelligence, is regulate, right? Self-management, self-control, transparency, being adaptable, being achievement-oriented, self-motivated to get things done. On the opposite side, on the social side, it's all about relationship management. I do so many DISC team building sessions with teams simply about how can they be collaborative, how can they work together, how can they build better bonds and teamwork, how can you be a more effective influencer leader and develop others. So that's all on the EQ side. Now, where this all started, believe it or not, goes back to Plato. Plato had an original theory that people are born with a set of preferences. Preferences for how they think, how they act, how they make decisions, how they communicate, how fast they talk, how loud they talk, whether they prefer to work in a structured environment or a free-flow environment. All of that has to do with your preferences. And those preferences turn into your DISC profile, your predictive index profile, your Myers-Briggs or Strength Finder. Those are all things that are all about your preferences. And to demonstrate this, I want you to take out a pen and just find a scrap piece of paper, whatever you happen to have in front of you, and write your name 3 times with your dominant hand. So 3 times, write, print, first name, last name, don't care, just do it. I want you to take your pen and put it in your opposite hand. So if you're right-handed, put it in your left hand. If you're left-handed, put it in your right hand. And now I want you to write your name 3 times. Now, the first time you wrote your name, you didn't have to think about it. It was natural. It was your preference. It's the way you've grown up. It's what you're accustomed to. It is simply your preference. When you had to put your hand, the pen in your opposite hand, you may have struggled to figure out, well, how do I hold the pen? And you may have been challenged with, it looks pretty bad. And over time, it could be better. So if you did break your dominant hand, you could learn to write with your opposite hand if you had to. But it wouldn't feel comfortable or natural. And you probably would develop stress in your shoulder after a period of time. So it's all about preferences. There is no right or wrong. There's no correct or wrong answer. It's all about preferences. And sometimes to demonstrate this in a fun way when I'm doing team building is I have people pick one of 4 birds that best represents their MO. What best describes you and what words or adjectives would you use to describe yourself? So we've got an eagle, a peacock, an owl, and a dove. So think about eagles in nature. They're strong, they're independent. They see something down below and they go after it and they go back up again. They're independent. They tend to be dominant. They tend to not flock. So you'll never see a group of eagles flocking together. You'll either see 1 or 2 in a pair, or 1 or 2 with a mom and a baby, and eventually they'll throw the babies out and have them go out on their own. So strong, dependent, direct, or independent and direct. Peacocks, bright, colorful, fun, creative, innovative. There's people in this world that are just like a peacock. There are people in the world that are just like owls. Not only are they smart, but they see things from all perspective because their head can turn around 360 degrees. They see the past, present, and future. They're organized, they're structured. They prefer structure in their lives. right? They prefer to have a plan and an agenda. When they go on vacation, they have an agenda for every minute of every day on vacation, where they're going to eat, where they're going to sleep. Your peacocks will probably just show up at some hotel and say, got a room? Your doves are going to be your team players. They're collaborative. Doves stand for peace and harmony and happiness in people. So all of these are just different styles and different preferences, and they apply specifically to how we actually work. So let me describe sort of the dimensions that this looks at or measures in your DISC profile, and we'll have you pull up your profile and look to see sort of whether you're an eagle, an owl, or dove, or peacock. We have all of these things. It's just what is your degree of intensity or preference. So eagles are going to be more, they're considered to be more dominant. That's what the D stands for on your DISC profile. They're direct, decisive doers. They get things done. The line on each one of these is when you cross the line and when your strength becomes a weakness. So they go from being direct to being dominating. And sometimes people feel they don't have a heart. They can go from being assertive to being aggressive and pushing people too hard. Now, the top two, eagle and peacock, are more direct. The bottom two are more indirect. If we look at the dimensions on the slide. So the peacock and the eagle are going to be more direct. So to give you a practical example, if you were to ask an eagle or peacock, where do you want to go to dinner tonight? They're going to say, let's go to Thai food. If you ask an owl or a dove, they're going to be more indirect and say, I don't know, what do you want to do? Probably the biggest myth is the difference between introversion and extroversion. There's a wonderful video, if you're an introvert, by Susan Cain called The Power of Introversion. And we probably would live in a better world if the extroverts would be quiet long enough to hear what the introverts have to say. So it doesn't have to do with personality. It's where you get your energy. Those direct people get their energy by going outward, by talking to people, by brainstorming, by throwing out ideas. They're going to go outside to get the energy they need. The owl and the dove are going to go inside. They're going to reflect. They're going to think before they speak, where sometimes eagles and peacocks speak and then they think. And they wonder why things don't always go so well. So either way, right? So it's just a different approach. The other approach is relationship or task focused. So peacocks and doves are relationship focused. So if they're interviewing someone for the team, they're going to look for the person that they probably won't even look at their resume, their credentials, their certifications. They'll talk to the person about, well, how do you work with the team and how do you handle these kind of things and what do you do? They're going to look at how they fit the team. Eagles and owls are going to look at the resume. They're going to look at the credentials. They're going to look at the certifications they have. They're going to ask them questions about, well, how would you handle this particular situation from a technical perspective? No right or wrong, simply just different. Oops, sorry about that. So the peacocks, they are the creative, innovative, fun, interactive, interesting, inspiring, humor people that are part of the team. To an extreme, they're seen as being impulsive, disorganized, and are usually terrible procrastinators, or great procrastinators, whichever we want to say it. Owls are complete, cautious, careful, organized structure. They like structured and things in their life that's in control. To an extreme, analysis paralysis, and they're slow to change. And then finally, the doves are supportive, sincere, they're team players. They're great at giving you an idea of the pulse of the team. You know, how's the team feeling? But they can be too sensitive, too caring, and it makes it very hard for them to make really tough decisions when they need to be made. So this is an interesting way of looking at it. So if you look at this person's chart, they are dominant in the blue. They are kind of close to an eagle perspective. They've got a bit of the creativity peacock in them, and they're lowest in the green from a particular category. So it's DISC. So they're lowest in the C, and the chart on the left is your natural self. The chart on the right is your adapted self, which sometimes you need to adapt to the work environment that you're working in. So take a look at your profile, read through the report, look at your strengths and areas to work on. Now, how this can really help you is in your communication, in leading others. There's something in the US we call the golden rule. Treat people the way you want to be treated. We need to practice as leaders, as individuals, as women, the platinum rule, which is treat people the way they want to be treated. So if you're working with an eagle, be brief, be bold, be gone, because they're direct and to the point. They like to get things done. You'll always know where you stand with an eagle. Right? Peacocks, involve them, excite them. They like new things, the shiny objects. Have passion, be supportive, be optimistic. Don't jog them down with a whole bunch of details, because they bring energy to the teams, and they bring the creativity and innovation we need in business today. If you look at the owl, the previous person we just looked at was pretty high in the owl. Give me the details. Be detailed, be structured, be organized. Show them all sides of the story. Here's what we did before. Here's where we are today. Here's where we're headed. They create order and systems. And then look at the dove, the green, is show me you care, be people-centric, have an emphasis on, being a great coach and harmony to the team. So if I had a project team, I want all 4 of these on my team. I want my peacock to go out and come up with the 50 ideas and narrow it down to 2 or 3. I want my owl to do the analysis and pros and cons on those 2 or 3 options we have as a team. I want my dove to think about the impact on the people, and I want my eagle to implement it, but have a dove right by their side to keep them from running over people. I hope this is a little bit of fun for you all, but it's serious in terms of it can really help you. It can really help you leverage your strengths, because your strengths are things that make you feel strong. They energize you. You find yourself doing them naturally, even when nobody's watching. Every year at Microsoft, we had the annual Day of Caring in September. Didn't matter what my role was, somehow I was the organizer of that Day of Caring, because that's something I do naturally and sometimes don't even realize I'm doing it. It's easy to do. It's my peak performance zone. It's your true passion at what's bringing you joy. Your weaknesses are going to be things that drain you. Yes, you can do it, but it just takes extra strengths. You may delay or avoid doing it. It's your stressor zone. It's just simply not in your wheelhouse. If you're working with the team, find opportunities that fit your strengths and find other people on the team that do things that you're not as strong in. So why does this matter? Again, I go back to the research. My research, Stanford University, London School of Business, all found that people, especially women, who are strong and confident, combined with empathy and EQ, who understands themselves and how to work with others, excel faster than someone that just is super, super smart. It's that balance between people and task. It's that balance between direct and being indirect. So why this matters? It's going to boost your personal productivity. When you work in your peak performance zone, you're on fire. You go home at the end of the day and say, wow, that was a great day. And when you're working outside your strength zone, and trust me, I've been there, done that. Windows 7 almost killed me. I'll share that at some point in time as we go through the process. It's very stressful. It's hard to do. I had to schedule certain tasks to do first thing in the morning because I'm a morning person. It also is going to help you improve your relationships with team members, your boss, your coworkers. It's going to help include client and personal relationships. Feel free to have a significant other or friend take the disc, compare your profiles, have a little good laugh, but see how you could work together the best. My husband and I are as opposite in night and day and as similar in some things as you can imagine. But we've been married a really long time and we've been very successful in our marriage. It's going to help you build better relationships as a leader and help you be a better leader. So I'm going to leave you with a final quote that has to do with all of this. Success is doing what you love and doing it with passion. So I thank you. I hope to see you in 2 weeks. If you are in the US, have a wonderful Thanksgiving with family and friends. If you celebrate Thanksgiving, some people don't. I know when I went to Asia, they couldn't understand why we'd eat a turkey, but it's a whole nother story. I could tell another time. But do what you love with passion and have fun in life and have a fantastic week. I'm going to stop sharing. I hope we can find a great time that works for all of us, because these sessions are for you. It's to help you in your career to grow and excel. So I'm going to go ahead and close out the session. I will send you this recording. I will send you the slide deck. We could do kind of a quick fun recap at our next meeting, but next meeting we're going to talk about number 2 and have you create, craft, and live a personal vision statement. It's helped me in my career so many times. So thank